Praise be to God. It's great to be here this morning with all of you. God has sure blessed us to live in the greatest country in the world. I'll tell you, it's easy to get depressed sometimes when we see the ridiculous, nonsensical stuff the left is doing. But it's important to remind ourselves that in the grand scheme of things, the Lord already fought the ultimate fight and won for us. The pains of this world pale in comparison. It is for us to seek virtue and truth and do the best we can to pursue His kingdom. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm about 6 months on the job as Florida's new Attorney General. I started my career up in D.C. as a lawyer in private practice, suing the Obama administration. I was privileged to serve as counsel to then candidate Donald Trump in his first campaign and ultimately served in his administration. And after fighting for American values and businesses and restoring sanity in our country for a couple of years, I returned home to Florida to ultimately become general counsel and chief of staff to Governor DeSantis. And I'll tell you, the timing could not have been more ideal. I was able to help spearhead many of the most important fights to keep our state open, our businesses open, and sanity in our state during the hysteria of COVID. And thanks to those fights, we've now rebranded this state as the free state of Florida. So when I took the oath of office, I told my team, the principle that I want to guide us is to do what is right and just for the Lord and let Him take care of the rest. We've gotten to work, we've been busy, and we have been fighting the good fight. On our first day, we filed a lawsuit against a little company you may have heard of called Target. Target, as many of you may recall, rolled out a transgender kids' clothing line featuring tuckable bottoms and bras for boys. Sick stuff. And while businesses do have some First Amendment rights, if you're a publicly traded company, you have a duty to your shareholders. And in Florida, we invest in many stocks for the retirement fund of our teachers and our law enforcement, and we lost our shirt when Target rolled out this line. The company lost $10 billion in value over 10 days, and shareholders suffered. So we'll keep fighting that fight. We've got a great judge, and I have a feeling we are going to make them pay. And any other company out there that wants to get away from the business of just doing business and shove radical leftist ideology down our throats at the expense of shareholders, we will be coming for them too. Our second day on the job, we began filing briefs in the Supreme Court and across the state to defend President Trump's ability to fire bureaucrats in the administrative state. It's always frustrated me. I'm a legal professor in my nighttime job, and one of the things that's frustrated me is the lineage of cases over time where the Supreme Court has put limits on the president's ability to fire executive branch officials, despite the Constitution saying the executive power shall lie in the president. Not some of the power, not a little bit of the power, the power. And no boss can be successful if you cannot fire lazy staff that don't want to do a job or that do not align with your mission. So thankfully, the court seems to be reevaluating its interpretations. And I'll tell you what, it has been so fun to watch these bureaucrats cry on the streets of D.C. when they're shown the door with their brown boxes. Speaking of crying, AOC and the Communist Caucus, they want to cry at every ICE facility. They want to cry and mourn the traffickers and the rapists and the horrific individuals that are victimizing so many American families. Let them cry. But I tell you what, you know where they can't cry? Alligator Alcatraz. That's right. They can't cry there because they can't get there. I was impressed when I saw President Trump talk about reopening the original Alcatraz. We got dangerous people in this country. We need to lock them up in no better place than an island where it's impossible to escape. Well, I saw that maybe it wouldn't be possible to reopen it, but I said to myself, we've got a great piece of land in Florida. An old abandoned runway from the 70s and 80s, 30 square miles, the largest 11,000-foot runway in the state, great for big deportation planes, completely surrounded by the Everglades. So if the gators don't get them and the pythons don't get them, the mosquitoes just might. It's been a privilege to work with ICE and Homeland Security. Secretary Noem had the great observation that the Biden administration was spending hundreds of millions of dollars on fancy New York hotels for immigrants. So we've just repurposed that money to Alligator Alcatraz and some other sites that'll be revealed soon. We're going to get them out right away. You know, they're trying to dox ICE agents and reveal their personal information about their families and where they live. This is sick. In Florida, we're not going to tolerate it. Our state police, we're providing security protection and personal detail. If ICE agents are doxed in this way, we're going to make sure we protect their families while they're protecting ours. And we've told our law enforcement, if people throw rocks at you, if they obstruct traffic, use as much force as you can. We are going to be rule of law. So again, you see the left freaking out, coming to the defense of these dangerous, dangerous people, crying outside of these facilities, attacking ICE agents. And the reality is this. They are realizing and panicking because they now know the jig is up. They know it. A major way they wanted to change the composition of this country and hijack it forever was to open up the border, let everybody in, count them in the census to create uneven equal electoral power for leftist states, try to figure out how to give them the right to vote where they can, give them access to education and health care, and drain our taxpayer dollars, and ultimately change the political landscape of this country. But thanks be to God, a year ago, God spared the life of President Trump. And he delivered him here today to restore American sovereignty, to protect rule of law, and to ensure that American families can again raise their kids in the greatest country in the land. And I'll tell you what, it feels kind of weird to say this amidst all the pastors, but I'm going to use every breath I have to kick the left's teeth in with every single day that I've got. Because that is what we're dealing with. This is a meaningful time in history. I do believe spiritual warfare is alive now more than ever. It is a fight between right and wrong, good and evil, and we are on the right. And so I'll close by saying this. We need more officials, more public servants that are in it for the right reasons. Too many officials, they want to do the job for the job. They're addicted to it. It's their everything. It is their purpose. And they don't want to let it go. It's why you have so many people up having seizures behind podiums in D.C. It's why they'll compromise and do anything to stay in their office. That is why we have a cancer in our political institutions. I tell my team, I just want to get to the back porch. I got 3 little kids, a 5, 3, and a 1-year-old, and I'm just trying to get home at the end of the day so I can get to the back porch and be with them. I'm driven by faith, I'm driven by my family, and if by doing what's right and just is going to kick me out of office, then I'll just retire at the beach a little bit earlier. So I'm calling on you in this room. We need more leaders that will pursue virtue, that will pursue truth, that will use public office, that will serve to pursue the kingdom of God. And in doing that, I have found this to be the most fulfilling job I think I will ever have. Just a few weeks ago, we concluded a 2-week bust. We had some leads and found out some kids were being trafficked. We continued to investigate and follow the bread trail further and further, finding a larger and larger network. I didn't even realize until the final day of the bust that we had rescued a U.S. record 40 kids in one single sting. And many of these kids have been through hell and back. What has happened to them is so gruesome, and we now have to find ways to be there for them and help them recover. But I was taken aback by one young girl, a teenager. She was pregnant with the baby of an assailant. But when she was rescued, she finally got to go hear the ultrasound for the first time. And she heard the heartbeat. Many of you haven't had that experience yet when you hear a baby's heartbeat, your child, but for the parents in here, you never forget that feeling. But this young girl, a girl that had to grow up way too fast, a young girl that, completely had her life upended, she heard this heartbeat and she said, "This baby was the one thing that kept me going, the one thing that kept me fighting to live. It gave me purpose, somebody that I could provide for and take care of." So I'll make you a promise, as long as the people of Florida will have me, I'm going to lock up as many of these sick child predators as I can. We're going to put bad guys away for a long time. If you want somebody that's soft on crime, do not vote for me next year. I am not that guy. I will love them, I will pray for them, but my duty is to American families and our kids. So do what's right and just for the Lord. Let him take care of the rest. And I look forward to working with many of you as we pursue the kingdom of God. Thank you.